Hello, we want to welcome you back to a new episode of Red, White, and Brown here on Daisy's Light. I'm joined by Mira and Michael here today. We got a great list for you guys. Two movies came out to the theater this week, as well as another movie on one of our favorite streaming platforms and a TV show. So we brought the action. We're here today to talk shop. But before you do that, I just want to ask how are you doing today? How's your day been?
Day's been busy. It's just, that time of the year when, people are winding down and heading into the holidays. So if you guys haven't, we have a list of all the holiday movies you should be watching. And it's up on our website and also on our socials. Feel free to follow us. Tell us what else you want to watch. Tell us how you want to interact with us and also our shows. So without much ado, let's get started with the list that we got to review today. Michael, what you got?
Yeah, it seems here on the list. The first one we have is a movie that just came out in the theaters. It's called Vadh. We've been talking about the theaters a lot recently. Was this a hit? Was this a miss? What was the theaters looking like for this one?
Okay, I have to tell you, I went with a lot of excitement. I went with a lot of hope to watch this movie. Firstly, it was an empty theater. There was absolutely no one except me in the theater, which was a big disappointment when you go into such a movie. It had an ensemble cast of amazing actors. There's Sanjay Mishra, there's Nina Gupta, there's Vadh. These are actors that are bankable actors. These are actors that are not stars, but these are actors. So I expected a lot from the story. I expected that the story will be an artsy kind of an indie movie, but all my hopes were dashed to the ground when I started watching it. Number one, I thought the story had crazy amount of loopholes. It had loopholes that I could weave stuff in and out of really. Then of course that undermines the actors right away, because now you're not thinking about how they're acting, you're not thinking about their acting skills, you're not thinking about how they fit into the plot, you're not even thinking of the plot anymore, you're only thinking of the big gaping loopholes on the story. And that's exactly what happened. They spent a huge time establishing the characters and the backstories, and then the action happened in the shortest time possible, and that was kind of, all right, the movie's over, I gotta go kind of a situation. So this is a story of a teacher and his wife, Shambhunath Mishra, and his wife Manju, and they live in Gwalior, which is a city, which is a pretty metropolitan city in middle of India. And this backstory of this couple is that they have a son who lives in America. And to send their son to America, they've taken loans, one from the bank, and then whatever the gap was, they got it financed by a local money lender, a loan shark. And now they're paying both the bank and the money shark, and they, have to somehow get the money. They're teaching kids in the neighborhood to get money. They're using the pension to pay. They're using whatever means to pay. And the son isn't responsible. The son doesn't talk to them properly. He's married somebody American, and he has a daughter, and he keeps telling them it's very difficult to live in America. Sorry, I can't send you money so often. So they get let down by the son. So that is one side story, and you see them kind of being pretty pitiful, if I may put it that way. So where I thought the plot had crazy loopholes was the fact that India has huge penetration of internet and phones. The data plans are pretty cheap. So for somebody to go, it was in the 1980s that you would go to cyber cafes and make video calls. With phone and data rates at what they are, you don't need to go to cyber cafes to call America anymore. You can call from your phone. You can use WhatsApp from your phone. So, I mean, given the fact that guy's an educator, this is the current time, they haven't dated the movie. How do you get away with a plot where they have to visit a cyber cafe and call their son in America? And it's pretty weird. What is weirder is the fact that the movie is made by by Reliance, who also own Geo, which is the largest cell phone operator in India. I mean, imagine having such a big loophole. Then, of course, in this day and age of internet banking, the guy taking trips to the bank to talk to the bank teller, figuring out what the principal and the interest on his loan amount is. I mean, these are little subplots that make them sound very pitiful, but it's just they have mobile phones. Why do they have to go to an internet cafe to do a video call when WhatsApp is free? Why do they have to pay for it? I mean, little things like that made me very uncomfortable. Then the local money lender is harassing them to the extent that he brings girls over. It's like, all right, he's a money lender. He's rich enough to take the girl elsewhere. Why does he have to bring the girls to their house? And then they're a vegetarian household. He brings alcohol and mutton as well. And why? Well, it's not as if their house is comfortable or he doesn't have anywhere else to go. It's just a very weird story, which is established to give them the motive of killing the guy. So one fine day, the guy comes over and he says, I want the little girl who comes for tuition. She's 12. I want her. And the teacher just kills the guy, dices it, slices him up, puts him into jute bags, disposes of the body. Now, all of this is like the 2-hour plus movie. This is like most of the movie. And then this is a story of how the cops are trying to figure out who killed, and they start the investigation, which is also so shoddily, it's shoddily put together. You just can't believe it. You stop believing the story because it's all right. So if this were, we were told that this is fantasy. I love fantasy. I'm watching a story, a Korean story where this guy gets killed and he's reborn as in the killer's family as a kid. So it's fantasy. I know it's fantasy. The construct of the show is fantasy. But you present something in a realistic lens where you're trying to portray things as realistically as possible, and then you create a fantasy around it that just doesn't fit well. Anyway, I was very disappointed. The actors just didn't have the space to perform because even though they're great actors, they could put together a brilliant performance. However, how far will the performance go if, the subject matter and the story and the screenplay is so poorly done? So a big disappointment. I didn't even realize the movie was over because I was doing 15 other things by then, because I lost interest in it altogether. And then